Hey everyone, welcome back to Say It Real, where fluency starts with real conversations. Today we need to talk about that heavy moment when you sit down to study English and your brain basically says, nope, not today.
Yeah, that moment is so real. You open a notebook, play a video, maybe read 2 lines, and suddenly everything feels harder than it did yesterday.
Exactly. And then the dramatic thoughts arrive. Maybe I'm too slow. Maybe I'll never speak well. Maybe everyone else understands English except me.
Yes, the brain becomes a full-time actor, very emotional, very negative, very confident for no reason.
So true. And we're talking about this because a lot of people feel discouraged in private. They keep smiling, they keep saying, yeah, I'm studying, but inside they're tired.
Really tired. Not lazy, not careless, just mentally tired. And I think that's an important difference.
Yes, so today we're talking to anyone who's been learning English and secretly wondering if they should just stop.
And before we jump in, if you enjoy learning through natural conversations like this, subscribe to Say It Real. Give this episode a like and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new one. It really helps the channel and it helps more learners find us too.
Thank you so much. Okay, Sky, let me ask you something. Have you ever had a day where English felt heavier than usual?
Oh, absolutely. I had one of those days not long ago. I was reading something simple, and I understood the first sentence, the second sentence, and then the third one just broke me.
Broke you?
Emotionally, spiritually, academically. I read it 3 times, and instead of understanding more, I understood less.
That is such a perfect description. Sometimes the fourth time is actually worse than the first time.
Yes, and in that moment, I didn't feel curious, I didn't feel motivated, I just felt small.
I think a lot of listeners know that feeling. It's not just confusion, it's that quiet drop in confidence.
Exactly. It's like your mind whispers, see, this is why you're not improving.
But that voice is not telling the truth. That's the important part. Feeling stuck is not proof that you're failing.
Right. Sometimes feeling stuck is just what progress looks like from the inside. Because while you're learning, you usually don't get fireworks. You get repetition, you get awkwardness, you get slow change.
Yes, and slow change is dangerous because it can feel invisible. You think nothing is happening because nothing dramatic is happening.
But invisible progress is still progress. That's what people forget.
Ooh, that's the heart of today's episode, invisible progress. Because people expect learning to feel obvious, like, wow, today I know 50 new words and suddenly I sound amazing.
That would be nice.
It would be lovely, but real growth is messier than that. One day you understand a phrase you missed last month. One day you answer faster. One day you notice you didn't translate in your head. Tiny things.
And tiny things are easy to disrespect. We think only big wins count.
But language learning is built on tiny wins. One phrase remembered at the right moment, one sentence spoken with less fear, one conversation where you stay calm 2 minutes longer than before.
That's true. And I think people give up because they only celebrate the finish line. They don't celebrate the evidence that they're on the road.
Yeah, they say, I'm not fluent yet, as if yet means never.
That word matters. Not fluent yet, not confident yet, not comfortable yet. Yet means the story is still moving.
I like that. Yet keeps the door open.
It does. And when people quit too early, it's often not because they can't learn English. It's because they misread the middle of the journey.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, the middle feels boring, repetitive, and confusing. The beginning has excitement. The end has confidence. But the middle? The middle is where you repeat the same tense 20 times and still make the same mistake.
Wow, painfully accurate.
But the middle is also where real strength is built, not in the exciting moments, in the ordinary ones.
You know what this reminds me of? Going to the gym. Not because we all love the gym.
I do not.
Same. But imagine lifting something light. Very light. So light you feel nothing.
Then your body doesn't have a reason to grow.
Exactly. But when something feels difficult, your body adapts, your muscles respond. Learning English works like that too. Difficulty is not always a sign to stop. Sometimes it's a sign that your brain is working.
I needed to hear that years ago.
Same, because when I was younger, I thought struggle meant I wasn't talented.
A lot of people believe that.
And it's such a cruel belief because it turns every hard moment into a personal judgment. Instead of saying, this is a hard lesson, you say, I am bad at this.
That's a huge difference.
Yes, one is about the task. The other attacks your identity.
And once identity gets involved, learning becomes emotional. It's not just vocabulary anymore. It's pride, it's embarrassment, it's self-worth.
That's why people cry over English sometimes.
Yes. And let's say that clearly for anyone listening. If you've ever cried because of English, you're not ridiculous. It means this matters to you.
It means your dream is touching a vulnerable part of you. Maybe your confidence, maybe your future, maybe your ability to connect with people.
Maybe your sense of who you could become.
Exactly, because English is rarely just about grammar. It's often about freedom, travel, work, friendship, understanding the world, expressing your real personality.
So when learning feels hard, it can hit deeper than people realize.
Okay, can we talk about one of the biggest traps? The trap of saying, I don't have enough time.
Oh, yes. That sentence visits everybody.
And sometimes it's true. People are busy. They work, they study, they commute, they take care of family, they get home exhausted.
Right. So this isn't about shaming anyone. It's about rethinking what counts as learning.
Exactly, because people imagine they need an hour, perfect focus, a clean desk, motivation, coffee, maybe a sunset, maybe inspirational music.
A cinematic learning montage.
Yes, and if life doesn't give them that perfect setup, they do nothing.
But 5 minutes counts. 3 minutes counts. Even one focused minute can count.
Especially on difficult days. Difficult days are not the time to demand perfection from yourself. They're the time to protect the habit.
Ooh, say that again.
Protect the habit. On good days, do more. On hard days, do less. But try not to disappear.
That's such a good rule. Because if you make the goal too big, your tired brain rejects it.
Right. But if the goal is tiny, your brain says, okay, I can do that. One short audio, one paragraph, one sentence spoken out loud, one new word used in context.
Tiny effort keeps the relationship alive.
Relationship is the right word because English should feel like something you live with, not something that attacks you.
Yes, don't treat English like a monster on a mountain. Treat it like a regular part of your life. Sit with it, hear it, use it badly, use it again.
Use it badly is such healthy advice.
But it's true. People wait to use English well before they use it at all.
And that delays growth so much because confidence doesn't appear first. Action comes first. Then confidence slowly catches up.
That's one of the hardest lessons for learners. You don't speak because you feel confident. You become confident because you keep speaking.
Can I confess something?
Always.
Can I remember one of my old mistakes so clearly? I wanted to say I'm bored, but I said I'm boring.
Classic.
Which is a terrible thing to announce about yourself, by the way.
Hello, everyone. My personality is the problem.
Exactly, and I was so embarrassed.
But I bet you never forgot the difference after that.
Never, not once. That mistake stamped itself into my memory forever.
Which is why mistakes are not just embarrassing moments, they're memorable teachers.
Yes, perfect sentences often leave no emotional mark, but mistakes, oh, they stay.
They really do. And honestly, sometimes the sentence you get wrong becomes more useful to you than the sentence you get right.
Because discomfort creates attention, attention creates memory.
That's actually really good.
Thank you, Professor Nate.
I'll accept that for today.
Let's talk about fear too, because a lot of learners aren't quitting because they're lazy. They're quitting because they're scared.
Fear of sounding strange, fear of pauses, fear of not understanding, fear of being judged.
Fear of hearing someone answer too fast and feeling stupid.
Yeah, that one hurts.
But here's something important. Fear doesn't always mean stop. Sometimes fear means this matters.
That's good.
Because speaking English meant nothing to you, you wouldn't be nervous. The nerves are there because you care, because this goal is alive inside you.
So fear is not proof that you can't do it, it's proof that you want something.
Exactly. And once you understand that, fear becomes less dramatic. It's still uncomfortable, but it stops feeling like a sign of failure.
It becomes more like an annoying travel companion.
Yes, still there, still talking, but not driving the car.
Okay, I love that image. Fear in the back seat, complaining the whole time.
Are we there yet? I hate this road.
Exactly.
But seriously, one of the best things a learner can do is speak before they feel fully ready.
Even just one sentence, out loud, in a room alone, in front of a mirror, on a walk, quietly in the kitchen.
One sentence matters because it interrupts avoidance, and avoidance is sneaky. The more you avoid speaking, the scarier speaking becomes.
Yes, so today, after this episode, say one sentence out loud in English. Just one. It doesn't need to be impressive. It just needs to be real.
I'm tired, but I'm trying. That's already a beautiful sentence.
It really is.
Sky, can we talk about comparison? Because I think comparison quietly destroys motivation.
Oh, absolutely. Especially now. People go online, hear someone speaking smoothly, and immediately think, why don't I sound like that?
And then they forget they're comparing their practice stage to someone else's polished stage.
Yes, or worse, they're comparing themselves to native speakers, which is just unfair.
Completely unfair. Native speakers didn't begin English at 25 after work with a tired brain and limited time. They grew up inside the language.
Right. So your job is not to sound like someone who never had to learn English. Your job is to become a clearer, braver version of yourself.
And honestly, clear English is powerful English. You do not need to be fancy to be effective.
Say that louder for the perfectionist in the back.
You do not need perfect English to communicate meaningfully. You need courage, practice, and enough clarity to connect.
That's such an important shift, from impressing people to connecting with people.
Yes, because communication is human first, perfect second.
That's beautiful.
Thank you. And I want to say something directly to the listener right now. Please do not make huge decisions on exhausted days.
Yes, don't decide, I'm quitting English forever on a night when your brain is overloaded and your confidence is low.
Tired thoughts are not always trustworthy thoughts.
Rest first, then decide later. Usually after rest, the feeling changes.
It really does. Everything feels impossible at 11 p.m. and strangely manageable the next morning.
That is a universal truth.
Also, rest is not the enemy of discipline. Rest is part of discipline.
Yes, a tired mind doesn't absorb well, so sometimes the best thing you can do for your English is sleep, breathe, walk, pray, drink water, and come back tomorrow.
I'm glad you said pray. For a lot of people, faith is part of how they keep going.
It is. And for me, in difficult seasons, prayer helps me release pressure. It reminds me I don't have to carry every frustration alone.
Same here. Faith can bring a kind of calm that performance never gives.
Exactly. A calm reminder that effort still matters even when results feel slow. That your worth is not shrinking just because today's lesson felt hard.
That's powerful.
And even if someone's path looks different, the deeper point still stands. You do not have to face discouragement alone.
Yes, reach for peace wherever you genuinely find it, because a peaceful mind learns better than a panicked one.
That connects to something else. Pressure. So many learners live under these heavy sentences. I must speak perfectly. I must understand everything. I must improve fast.
The word must can be exhausting.
It really can. Too many must turn learning into punishment.
Replace some of them. Instead of I must be perfect, try I want to keep improving. Instead of I must know everything, try I can understand a little more today.
Softer language creates more space to breathe.
And breathing matters because panic blocks memory, shame blocks speaking, pressure blocks curiosity.
Wow, today we're exposing all the villains.
One by one.
Okay, let's get very real for a second. What can someone do on a day when they feel absolutely no motivation?
First, lower the goal. Don't aim for a full study session, aim for contact. Just contact.
Contact?
Yes, stay in contact with English. Hear 1 minute, read 1 paragraph, review 5 words, repeat 1 expression. That's enough to keep the bridge from disappearing.
I love that. Don't build a palace, just keep the bridge.
Exactly. Second, choose easy material on hard days. Not because you're weak, but because consistency matters more than struggle, every single time.
That's a huge mindset shift. Some people think harder is always better.
Not always. Sometimes easy input rebuilds confidence, and confidence helps you return tomorrow.
Third,
Third, talk to yourself kindly, not in a fake way, in a useful way. Instead of, I'm hopeless, say, today is hard, but I can still do something small.
language matters, even the language you use with yourself.
Especially that language.
You know what? I think a lot of learners are carrying secret shame.
I think so too.
Shame about their accent, shame about how long it's taking, shame about forgetting words they already studied, shame about being quiet in conversations.
And shame makes people hide, but hiding slows growth.
So let's say this clearly. Your accent is not proof of failure. Your pauses are not proof of failure. Your simple sentences are not proof of failure.
They are proof that you're participating, and participation matters.
Your accent is part of your story. It means you've crossed linguistic borders. That's not embarrassing. That's impressive.
Wow, that's beautiful too.
It matters because a lot of people feel they need permission to speak until they're good enough.
But your English does not need permission. Use it now. Build it while using it.
Messy English can still create real connection.
Yes, and connection is the point.
Before we head toward the end, I want to ask something important. What happens when someone keeps going, even slowly?
They become someone who trusts themselves more. Not overnight, but gradually.
More than just in English?
Definitely. When you stay with something difficult, you teach yourself, I can do hard things. I can be patient. I can continue without immediate rewards.
That's bigger than language.
Much bigger. English becomes a place where you practice resilience.
And maybe that's why not quitting matters so much. Because quitting doesn't only stop the learning, sometimes it also weakens the story you tell yourself about who you are.
Yes, the story becomes, I stop when growth feels slow.
But staying changes the story. Then it becomes, I keep going even when progress is quiet.
That's the kind of identity shift I love.
Me too. Okay, I think this is the right moment for our word tour.
Yes, let's slow everything down for a minute and review a few useful expressions from today's conversation.
First phrase, feel stuck. If you feel stuck, you feel like you're not moving or improving. Example, I've been studying for months, but this week, I feel stuck.
Second phrase, tiny wins. Tiny wins are small successes that still matter. Example, understanding 1 new phrase in a movie is a tiny win.
Third phrase, protect the habit. This means keep the routine alive, even in a small way. Example, I was tired, so I only listened for 3 minutes, but I protected the habit.
Fourth phrase, invisible progress. This is progress you don't notice right away. Example, my English felt the same, but later I realized I was making invisible progress.
Fifth phrase, keep the bridge. We use that metaphor today. It means stay connected. Example, I couldn't study much this week, but I read 1 short article to keep the bridge.
Sixth phrase, not yet. These 2 words are powerful. Example, I can't speak confidently yet. That sentence still leaves room for growth.
And one more, tired thoughts are not trustworthy thoughts. That means your negative ideas may be distorted when you're exhausted. Example, I wanted to quit last night, but I remembered that tired thoughts are not trustworthy thoughts.
Those are great expressions to repeat later. Save them, write them down, and try using one today in your own sentence.
And by the way, if this conversation is helping you, subscribe to Say It Real. Give us a like and hit the notification bell, and help us keep making these episodes for you.
Okay, let's leave our listeners with something simple and honest.
Here it is. You do not need a perfect day to continue learning English.
You do not need perfect confidence, perfect memory, perfect grammar, or perfect energy.
You just need the willingness to return.
Return after a bad lesson. Return after embarrassment. Return after a busy week. Return after doubt.
Because every return is an act of belief. A quiet one, maybe, but a real one.
And if today was heavy, let it be heavy. Breathe. Rest. Be kind to yourself.
But don't confuse a hard day with the end of your story.
Your English is still growing. Maybe slowly, maybe quietly, but it is growing.
And we're really glad you're here, growing with us.
We are. Thank you for listening. Thank you for trying. And thank you for not giving up on yourself.
Keep going, one real conversation at a time.
And before we go, subscribe to Say It Real. Give this episode a like and hit the notification bell so you can keep learning with us every week.
We'll see you in the next one.